8 o'clock, so I'd like to welcome everybody here this morning for our Tuesday, February 4th meeting. Appreciate you all being here. I hope everybody has something to add to make Whitley County a better place this morning. So if you would all please stand and join me in the national anthem to honor our great country.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda this morning is Dale Buuck, please.
Good morning, Dale Buuck, Whitley County Economic Development, also part of the county broadband task force. In your advanced materials, the packet, I put a copy of the letter of support. That we've talked about all these federal and state fundings to help internet service providers install broadband, especially in the rural areas. And we're finally getting to some of the real big money and the meat of some of those grants. The one currently going out is the BEAD program. It was a federal program that gave the state of Indiana, I think, like almost $890 million. And the internet service providers are now applying for that, and they all kind of need to have a letter of support from the local community, and that's what we have. I put on our county letterhead, and we've got a commissioner to sign it, and my request for you is that we allow a council person to sign it. This particular one, I've got Door's signature on it, a place for him to sign for the whole group. We also are fortunate to have Steve from CERF here. If there's any questions, he really can fill you in on the process, how long it might take, and when he might actually see some of the funds. But I will say, because of CERF's involvement, helping people do speed tests, and the task force involvement of getting a lot of people to do the speed test, Whitley County had quite a few homes that showed up. And it's good news, bad news. The good news is a lot of internet service providers see a lot of chance for grant dollars. It's frustrating because it shows the need and the continuing need for rural broadband. But if you'd like, Steve can say a few words. I think it might be helpful to understand the process.
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll try to keep it brief this morning. Our project is pretty much countywide. Every available eligible address within Whitley County we are pursuing for the BEAD program. That kind of adds on to what we've done with ICP and our private investment, leveraging Northeastern REMC and their network and their poles in order to affordably get the broadband out there. The total number of addresses and homes that are going to be part of this program are 5,185 homes and agribusinesses. That represents construction for our project of over 3 million feet of fiber and a project cost of $18.9 million, of which CERF is contributing $10.5 million towards that.
Quick question on it.
Sure.
In reading this letter on it, the last entry on it is 11424. Should that be a typo, 11425?
Oh yeah, it should be 25.
Thank you. We'll correct that.
And add a little bit further on, I've been a customer of CERF for probably 2 years in the Terrabisco area, and I'm well satisfied with the service that I've got.
It's good to hear. It's good to hear.
Is the 5185 number new, or how many of those are currently that you already are serving?
These are all new addresses.
Thank you for that.
Do you have any idea where those addresses are? I mean, is it a roundabout, like holistic county number, or is it in a specific pocket?
It's distributed throughout the county. So we are not pursuing the northwestern portion of the county because Lake Tell and Noble County RMC have been servicing some of that area. And then as you go along 114 on the county line, it's the southern part. Heartland RMC and TWN are serving some of those areas, and Comcast is serving some areas in the southeastern portion of the county. So those are not included.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, so if we could have Thor sign that, I'll correct the date. There may be several others. What is really nice about the providers, that they're working together, as you heard, because Lake Tell is going to probably do a similar request. And I like how they're talking to each other. They're not stepping over the same territory. And that as this progresses, then we will bring back to the table Lakeland, hopefully to fill in any missing pieces. The request today is simply a letter of support. At some point in time, once we know a little bit more, there may be a request for council for personal property tax abatement, but that's just, I don't know when or what the amount might be, but that could be helpful too. And I hope everybody sees that, you know, this is really more beneficial to the county than where we were a year or two ago when, you know, there was a big ask for investment. I really appreciate the fact that CERC is willing to spend all this money.
Thank you, Dale.
Thank you.
I know they're asking for my signature only, but I would like at least go to a vote of confidence that we're in agreement to have me sign this. So I guess I would just ask by show of hands, everybody that is okay with me signing this as a representative of county council, to please raise your right hand for me. Okay, thank you so much.
Motion, make it official.
No, I don't think it needs to be an emotion. I just want to make sure we're in agreement. All right, thank you for that. We'll move forward then. I'm not seeing Judge Garza here. Is there a representative? Oh, he is here.
I am.
Thank you, sir. You slid in, I didn't see you.
I did. It's my first time to the building. I was a little lost.
Yep.
Thank you for having me. I'm Tony Garza. I'm judge filling in for Judge Fall while he's on deployment. I just completed my 5th month out of what might be a year, depending on when he gets shipped back. So we have requested additional funds from the Public Defender's Supplemental Fund. That was a fund that traditionally only Circuit Court was allowed to access, and we weren't quite sure why. I think that's been addressed at a previous meeting.
That's correct.
And with additional, from my perspective, I think the additional enforcement on US 30 has led to multiple arrests that have multiple defendants, which means that we need additional public defenders typically to represent those additional defendants. And our numbers are rising steadily. So we're hoping to get an appropriation from the supplemental fund to avoid having to come back later and ask for more money out of the general fund. Any particular questions?
The money's already in there and appropriated, right? We just gotta pass this so they can get to it.
Yeah, the funds are in there, you just have to appropriate it so they can spend
Yeah.
it.
This is pretty much the second step to that,
Yeah.
you know, what we approved last month. Was it last month?
I believe so.
Month before, just opening the funds up for them, and so we expected that you would be here, or anticipated it anyway.
Yeah. So typically in other counties, that fund is accessible by all the courts that have criminal jurisdiction. I understand this fund was set up years ago, and only Circuit Court had access to it. Not sure why. Doesn't really matter at this point, if we
Right.
can rectify the situation.
Is there a resolution number on that or anything, Tiffany? No.
No.
I'll make a motion that the Superior Court can get the supplemental public fund, fund number 2507.
At $2,000, at the $2,000.
Up to $2,000, correct? Yeah.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Tom, a second by Kim. Is there any further discussion, please?
Is that all that's in that fund?
No,
I believe it's 40,000,
Sounds about right.
47,000.
So does this just gives them access to 2,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously, if we need more from that fund, we would ask for it, but that's what we had anticipated a potential shortfall to be for this year.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll go to the vote. Please, all those in favor, please respond by raising your right hand. And let it be shown it was passed unanimously with all members present. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Paula Worden, please.
Good morning. I believe this is just a formality. We've already approved the addiction recovery grant, so now we need to appropriate the funds since it was awarded after the budget season.
Adds up.
Make a motion we approve the additional appropriation and resolution.
I'll second.
Motion by John Barrett, second by Tim Longenbaugh. Any further discussion, please? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. And let it be shown it was passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions about what I mailed you? Any concerns? Okay. Is that what you need?
I think so. I'll
Okay, and I'll
work
keep
with
you updated.
commissioners.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Paula.
Lindsey Grossnickle, please.
Good morning. I'm asking for money. We got the money, and I'm asking that you guys just approve that and put it in the buckets that we asked for. It's part of our JDAI grant. We get a performance bonus grant if we meet certain criteria. We were awarded that this year. The amount of a little over $10,000. So with that funding, we're gonna work with the Miami Village kids again, work with the staff out there, get them some, they're gonna go to a conference and get some education to help the kids out there, and then do some fun stuff this summer with them. So we just ask that you approve the request as presented.
How's that program going? We haven't really got much of an update on it lately. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's going well. There's new ownership out there, and so that has changed some things pretty drastically, and is, I think, sent a little bit of stress to the staff out there because they're losing some kids. And so it's kind of a good and bad issue for the county in that they're cleaning Miami Village up, which is good. But they're displacing some families, which, you know, they've invested a lot in these kids, and we obviously want to make sure these kids are safe, and when we have eyes on them, we know they're safe. So there have been some kids that have been displaced, but because Sean and her staff out there are just pretty amazing, they have let some of the kids continue to come to the center just to make sure that they're doing well and just kind of get the care they need. So overall, I think their numbers are down a little bit this year just because families have moved, and sometimes when one family moves, that might mean 10 people that have moved out of a particular home out there. But I do think that the positive notes out there, and that they're cleaning it up. They're making sure that, you know, certain people with certain offenses are not allowed to live out there, which I think probably overall is a good thing for the county. But those people sometimes have children and have to live somewhere. So I think overall it's going well. You know, the project out there has just been a great thing for those kids out there, and I think that the schools, the elementary schools, and going into the middle schools would tell you that it's made a huge difference with just how those kids have behaved and just some resiliency that they've gained out there from the staff and Sean and Mission 25. So it's a great program, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Make a motion we approve the additional appropriation resolution for Fund JDAI.
I'll second.
Motion by John Barrett, second by Joan Western, please. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor, please respond by raising your right hand. Let it show it's passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Scott Wagner, please.
Good morning. So, asking for money, we already have the money there, just needs to be appropriated. A little bit of a change after talking with Tiffany and the Board of Accounts. The 4001 fund is a donations fund. It's not considered a grant fund. So all three monies that are in there now, even though the application said grant, there's no follow-up with this money. There's no reporting, there's nothing that we have to do to receive the money, we just ask for it, let's give it. So we're gonna create two other funds, and hopefully back in March for some of the other monies that are already in there. So today we're just asking to appropriate the $2,500 from the American Heart Association, so that our intern and Garza can start spending that money for heart health, blood pressure checks and things like that. And I'll come back in March for the other $1,500 and the other $3,000. If that's okay with you guys.
This will be just the top line here, but you're excited there.
So you just want me to draw a line through these
Yeah,
in this
okay.
hall?
Any questions? So when we got the 2,500 came with the American Heart Association, that was an agreement with them last year. Then we have Ashley Plume working in our office. She had a blood pressure check station yesterday at the health department, meeting out in the community to do heart health. The $3,000 comes from the Community Foundation for Women's Health that Darcy is starting this month. It'll be at Tuesdays in the evening at the library once a month for 9 months. All topics are covered there. And then the $1,500 was from Community Foundation through the Old Settlers Foundation for suicide awareness training. So I'll come back and have those reappropriated to appropriate fund at that time.
So they're all good programs. I'll make a motion that we approve the appropriation.
Thank you, John. Who's my second, please?
Tom.
And Tom with the second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor, please respond by raising your right hand and let it be shown it was passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. You have any kind of a health update while we have you up here on specifically COVID?
I was staring him down, waiting on him.
Nothing huge. As you know, we all know people who've had this cold or cough for like several weeks and can't get rid of it. That's going around. Sometimes it tests positive for COVID, sometimes not. Quite a bit of strep is going around, so if you're getting younger adults and teenagers with strep, that's happening now. So there's a lot of sore throats and coughing with that. The flu is still out there. It's mostly upper respiratory now and not so much the digestive, that kind of went, but it's all out there. So as we wane through February, March, we'll get better as spring comes typically. Bird flu, it's always in the news. There's nobody in Indiana as far as human cases. There's about 65, 80 cases in the United States. None of them have been shown to be human, but that's always been a trigger for the media to popularize. But no, we'll continue to have sickness for another couple of months.
But how long does it last?
Which one?
The cold.
It can be up to 3 weeks. So if you remember back in the fall, we had the pneumonia, people were coming out with pneumonia, that's mycoplasma pneumonia. And a lot of times you don't know you have it until you're flat on your back. So this cold is just a lingering cough. It's a virus. So take your over-the-counter decongestants, keep your fluids up, wash your hands. Yeah, that's about all you can do. If you get a fever, get more severe, then go to the doctor, get prescriptions. Other than that, sorry.
Thank you, Scott.
Yep, thank you.
Stepping lively, we'll go on to the next item on the agenda, the appointment that we have for the Alcohol Beverage Commission. Has anyone had any luck in identifying somebody that would be interested in this position? No. I have one person that I've talked to. He's not necessarily interested, but he said that he would fill the position to be reevaluated again the first of the year if we were unable to find anybody else.
Can you give more information on it? Like how often do they meet and where do they meet? Is it in Columbus City or out of town?
They meet at the excise offices, which are incorporated with the the DNR out on where Northeastern RMC used to be on Business 30. I believe that it's a monthly meeting. It's on a Wednesday. I think it's like an 11 or a 12 o'clock meeting. I'm not sure on that. They're usually very short meetings. But I know they don't always have the meetings if they don't have an agenda. So I know it's not, and there is a per diem that goes with it, but it's on some sort of a basis on where you live and how far you travel to get there, and I think length of meetings and stuff like that is a formula. I'm not sure what it is, but it's not a way to fund your retirement. I would offer that Brooks Langlow has said that he would go onto this board, but I would leave, obviously that's going to be up to us whether we want to make that appointment or not. I talked to him about it. He would have the interest in doing it to help fill that spot, which seems hard to fill. Him and I did talk about the fact of a potential perceived conflict of interest, because he does have family that owns a place that sells alcoholic beverages. That wouldn't exclude him from it. He would just like to make that known if we would appoint him to that could be a perceived conflict.
What causes this to be a hard position to fill?
Well, I don't know. I've never been on it, so I'm not real sure. I know April Tackett is on it, or is on she's on this board particularly by means of her job, and I know that she's a go-getter and does a really good job. I think she runs the meetings, but I've never been on it. I don't know. Chad, do you have anything to fill in on anything I've said or any corrections?
Just that they actually meet in this building over the lunch hour.
Okay, they do.
It's either on Monday or Tuesday. I can't say. I don't know for sure, but they actually meet here. And I think it's difficult to fill because it's over the lunch hour. Mm-hmm. So it's hard for people to get away from work and attend a meeting and then get back to work on time.
Thank you.
Brooks would be perfect then.
Well, I'm offering him as someone to consider. It's open for discussion. He didn't come to me, and he's not excited about it. He said he would fill it for us through January of next year as a minimum, that we'd need to look for somebody else. I mean, but it's up to you all.
Can you have another month to try to search for someone?
Absolutely.
If everybody could kind of look and see what their contacts are?
Absolutely. That's kind of what I was hoping we were doing this last month, and it was kind of my card up my sleeve if no one had come up with anybody. And I know I've had conversations with not all of you, but different ones of you about that process. I know that Nick even asked the commissioners their opinions, whether they knew anybody, and it's difficult. I hate to leave it open.
Well, ideally, we could find someone that would be interested in multi-years versus, and I understand Brooks's thinking on that, but it sounds like he would be a one-year term.
Well, I think it's a yearly appointment anyway, but is it a 4-year appointment? Okay. Stand correct, it is a 4-year appointment.
Yeah, I'm in support of giving it one more month to see if we can find somebody.
I agree with that.
All right, we will table that and push it for a month, and I'm telling you right now, Brooks won't be disappointed that we're doing that. And don't get me wrong, he would do a great job with it, and that's the reason I thought of him, but he's got a lot going on too. If you could make sure that gets on the agenda for next month, please. Rosemary Brown, please.
I'm asking for my cash drawer in my office to be raised. One of the reasons is most people are either carrying $50 to $100 bills now. And when you only have $75 in cash, that's not enough to give them enough money back. So I'm asking if County General can put $75, so it'll be a total of $150.
Will that be enough? Do you need more than that to be comfortable?
No, that will reduce the price. And to hand you a $50 bill for a $9 fee,
Yeah.
we just don't have enough. And it seems to be what people are carrying now, so,
I'm seeing a lot more people are starting to spend the cash again.
yes, they are. And we do not take credit or debit cards. It's just too difficult, and with our fixed fees, it causes too much hassle. And so we tell people when they call, cash or a check, one or the other. But when they come in for documents and things like that, we just don't have enough cash.
I'll make a motion, we take the recorder's office and take the cash drawer from $75 to $150.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Tom and a second by Joan. Is there any further discussion, please? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor, please respond by raising your right hand. Let it be shown it was passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Personnel Committee. Nick, you chair that. Would you like to give us a report on it?
We decided last month that we were gonna have, commissioner on the board. Other than that, it was really just kind of deciding meeting frequency and makeup of the board, so I think we meet today, right?
Yep.
Yep, so we should have more next month.
And along with adding a commissioner to the Personnel Committee to give it a 5-person board, we decided to add an employee.
Oh, yes, that's
and asked Paula Worden to join the Personnel Committee board, and she has agreed to do that too. So we'll be meeting today, right? And we're going to get a little bit of a training session from Jennifer if she's here today. Yep, there she is. So that's exciting. Commissioner report, please.
So, in our January 21st meeting, the morning before the meeting, we had a bid opening for those single axle dump trucks that Ryan had come to speak to get council's approval to move forward with bids. So we opened bids on the 21st. Yesterday, we accepted bids. We accepted the chassis from, I have that, Stoops, I believe. And those are Western Star chassis. And body work will be done at Kaleida. So I have those numbers too. The chassis are, for the two of them, it's $253,800. And for the body work at Kaleida, it will be $282,400. So $140,200 per truck. We had to approve an emergency elevator repair in this building. The south elevator quit, and it's the motors that open and close the doors have gone bad, but they're over 20 years old, and so they aren't able to replace those motors without replacing the controls. So unfortunately, it was a $75,000 repair. It was $75,580.29. The commissioners had budgeted for $150,000 from Kim Cap for these types of repairs. And unfortunately, here we are in January, we have to spend half. But the work's gonna get done and the elevator will be repaired. The veteran service officer gave a good update yesterday and reported that January was his busiest month since starting, and 80% of the business that he's seeing is walk-in business. So historically, we were only open part-time a few days a week, and oftentimes we'd have veterans wandering the hallways looking for a VSO now we've got one here who can catch that walk-in traffic. So that's been really good. He also shared, and I just wanted to announce it here too, because I wasn't aware of it, but any veteran who's in need, Community Harvest Food Bank is giving 50 pounds of food per month to any veteran who needs it, no questions asked. So just thought I would share that. And that's all I have, unless there's questions.
Can you give us, are you in a position to give us an update on the Bowen Center, or the Bowen building, please?
Yeah, so we met with the Bowen Center. So before meeting with them, we asked Mark Strudement to spend some time in the building and get familiar with any issues there. Maybe we kind of had known that we would, if we wanted to move forward, it was going to need a roof. But Mark identified that the rooftop units were 25 years old and they weren't working properly, and found some concerns with plumbing and foundation, which was the big one. So we brought in partners like Martin Riley, who spent time looking at the foundation and had recommended some significant repair there. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, the breakout, but it was over $500,000 projected in repair. And so we had our appraisals. One was $520,000, another was over $800,000. I don't remember exactly the amount. The Bowen Center just, they're not really willing to budge much on their asking price anyway. So we felt we're in a difficult position where we don't want to spend $500,000 on a building and then have to put $500,000 into that building to have a building that's not worth what we've paid for, if that makes sense. Just, it didn't make sense fiscally to move forward with the purchase. It's not, I would say it's not completely out of the question. Bowen Center's gonna move that back to an active listing and see if they can get any interested parties in purchasing it. And we had just said we didn't feel that we could purchase the building. It might make sense if they were in a position where they needed to get rid of the building, it would make sense for us to take it and then invest $500,000 into it and have a good building. But to purchase it doesn't make sense for the county.
Thank you for that. Any questions about that building? Chad, could you talk a little bit too about the information that you're getting out of the governor's office on how our county tax dollars could be changing?
Well, so it's actually just information I took away from the governor's State of the State and a comment that he made that, as you know, one of his biggest initiatives was property taxes and getting that under control. We've seen significant increases year over year. And his initiative, the legislator's initiative now, is to move back to 2021 assessments and appraised assessments and property tax bills, moving back to 2021, which would reduce the amount of property taxes that we would receive. He made comment that it's going to be difficult for local governments, counties, cities, that their funding is going to be cut, that they're not going to be seeing the amount of money coming from the state that we have been. So he made a comment that he'll work with local governments for police, fire, EMS, but anything else, really what the legislator's looking at is they want local government to come up with their own funding sources. So an example like CUME-CAP, for example, is not at the maximum rate. So the legislator is saying, why would we give more money to the county when you're leaving money on the table because you haven't moved your tax rate to the maximum amount? So they're going to be looking at us to come up with our own solutions for funding and reducing the amount that comes back to local government.
Thank you, Chad.
I'd like to know if Kim's got anything you'd like to add to that, Kim? Nothing good. I mean, you know, there are several bills right now that are down there that are just between the Auditors Association, the Assessors Association. I mean, it is just, it's madness. I mean, and I think we all need to be concerned. I mean, what the update Chad just gave you, listening to our governor, I think we all need to really be concerned and, you know, reach out to our legislators, maybe have a talk with them, if that's possible. I've reached out to Chris Judy. I have yet to hear from him. Joan, I talked with her yesterday. She has not heard from Chris yet either. I know they're busy. I know they got a big agenda and a lot on their plate down there. We're getting several bills from both sides, Senate and the House. We're just gonna have to wait it out right now and see. I mean, we're kind of at their mercy to see what they're gonna do.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be a good idea to kind of have a work session on expecting this legislation to pass as a worst case scenario and have a plan in place? That way we're not, I don't want to say having a knee-jerk reaction to not having these funds in place next year, and then overtaxing the people in this community by kind of freaking out, I guess. So I would say maybe we have some kind of session that we get something in place that says this is our plan if that legislation were to pass in its entirety. Just a suggestion.
I think, of course, the next budgetary cycle is going to be for next year. And I think when we start that budgetary cycle, we're going to know and have a lot more information on some of these things, if they're going to happen, not happen, and how we can probably incorporate that into our discussion and budget planning for next year. I think we're still going to have like a 6-month window that we'll have to work with those issues, unless you guys can convince me otherwise. We could have a special meeting, but I think maybe we're a little bit premature.
Perhaps, yeah.
And it's still early in the session too. Bills get edited and get changed.
Yes.
Scott Wagner from the Health Department. I do like Nick's suggestion only because Tiffany will be asking for budgets in April. And I know that we may not know till May what the legislature says. But I guess from a department head standpoint, I'd like to be able to make the cuts. You know, if you could give me a heads up, I'd like to make the cuts where I think would be appropriate. You know, if you're saying cut 20%, I'd like to be able to cut instead of having to go back again later on and present that budget up front. So like, hey, this is where logically we could cut this and that would be a good thing, versus like maybe Nick said, maybe knee jerk that in October, hey, you gotta cut this, and we didn't spend time really thinking about it. So that's my only suggestion.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
I just have one last thing that I nearly forgot, but we had our Board of Finance meeting on the 21st as well. And once again, Kay did a wonderful job with investments. Of course, interest rates were still peaked in 2024, but another record year for interest earned on investments with $2,100,000 earned in interest.
Yeah, that is good.
The year prior was 1.7, so she's continuing to invest, but interest rates are creeping down, and we probably won't see that again.
Chad, can you give us an update on the work release building, how that work's going?
Yeah, so Paula had emailed an update recently. Maybe she could help me out.
Yeah, sure. I mailed something to our council too, but the kitchen, they did the demolition and all the equipment should be coming in throughout the month of February. So we're hoping by the end of the February, the kitchen will be done. So come out anytime after March, you'll actually be able to see some work completed. The carpet's been ordered for all the offices, so we'll probably just store that in one location and probably install probably March, late March. So it's going, but he's also committed to another project. Is it the museum that the same contractor's doing work?
The contractor.
Yes. So he's gonna leave our site for a little bit and then go to the museum, so we may see a little delay in the action.
There hasn't been any surprises as far as
No.
additional work needed or any of that, no surprises.
And Mark and Jeremy, they've been just great, like making sure to let me know what I need to let staff know if there's gonna be interruptions to the day, or we're not gonna have water for a period of time. So as far as communication, it's been great, but there's always challenges when you have people living and working while you're trying to renovate. We got a drinking fountain yesterday. That was a highlight. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Thank
I
you, Paula.
really was talking to Chad.
You didn't want to hear from
I
me
didn't
again?
really want to hear from him, no.
It was your lucky day.
I've got one. How's the punch list coming at the jail?
Really good.
Okay.
So we've made some huge progress. We've agreed on a substantial completion date of January 1st, which was a huge compromise. They weren't willing to concede at all. But the work is done, except for the rooftop units. The HVAC is the issue, but that was to be expected because of so many controls. Most of what they're working on now is done remote. It's all tweaking from a computer-based system where they can access and make adjustments. So
Have they moved some in there now?
yeah, there's dispatch has moved entirely. The detectives have moved in. The sergeants, the deputies, like it's a progression, of course, but
they are.
We are
starting to go that way.
moving in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions, please? Thank you, Chad. I see Rob and Teresa are both here. Is there anything that you guys want to add to? Anything to share? Thank you. Brings us to the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as they were presented to you, please?
I make a motion that we approve the January 7th meeting minutes to be approved.
Motion by Kim. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Tom. All those in favor, please respond by raising your right hand and let it be shown it was passed unanimously. I will now open the floor up to anybody that's here at the meeting today. If there's any issues that you want to bring forward, or just maybe bring some highlights to maybe something good that's going on in your department, you're more than welcome to have the floor and to come forward. Anything for the good of the cause. All right, well, again, thank you everyone for being here. John, do you have any thing for us, any reports from any committees that you're on that have met this last month?
I have not.
Tim?
Nothing further.
Joan, do you have anything to report from any of your committees?
No.
Tom?
I have nothing.
Kim?
Redevelopment is moving forward on some property, looking at it for the TIF district, but other than that, that's it.
I have nothing.
With the Plan Commission, we restructured a little bit. The only thing that we really had on the agenda this last month was trying to fine tune the firing range ordinance, or the zoning that we're putting into effect. That's going to be a continued effort. I think we're getting near the end of that, though. Just to bring you all up to speed, I have initiated with the commissioners that I'm going to be meeting with them at least twice a month, if not more if needed, on issues, just to keep on the same page and be consistent with things that they're working on a daily basis. I would encourage everyone to stop in and see them and try to keep updated with them on the day-to-day workings. They're doing a great job. It's not easy, especially when, they've got everything else in their lives that they're dealing with just the same as us. And I think more is expected out of them sometimes. So that's a relationship that we need to continue to work to grow and to deepen so we can be on the same page with that. And that's my commitment to help us grow together, is I'll be meeting with them at least twice a month. I'm going to, if I could, just use this forum as a public service announcement that the Whitley County Council on Aging has received from our executive director a resignation, and we are currently accepting applications for that position of executive director for the Whitley County Council on Aging. The job description is available online from our website or by emailing leslie@wccoa.biz. We're taking applications right now, and we're seeking someone that can fill that position. So if anybody knows someone or has some ideas, please reach out to us. Just a reminder that the Personnel Committee will be meeting directly after we finish our meeting today in this room. Having nothing else, we stand adjourned.